Rewind to the early 1960s. Visualize the rocky shores alongside the North Sea of the island of Great Britain. The landed area there being inhospitable, with a barren landscape and little vegetation growing in its sandy, wind-swept dunes. Newly arrived to this area were Peter and Eileen Caddy and their friend Dorothy McLean, who had just moved to a carnival park in Findhorn, a small scenic coastal village in the northeast of Scotland. They depended on their vegetable garden for their food and sustenance, but as you can imagine, it wasn't easy to grow vegetables in the cold, windy climate and sandy soil, even amended with the manure and seaweed they found nearby. But miracle of miracles, yet somehow they managed to grow amazing plants, like a 42-pound cabbage and a 60-pound broccoli plant. As the word got around, it was deemed the impossible garden, and soil experts came to test their soil. It's impossible, they declared. There must be some extra factor involved. But what? The founders eventually revealed their secret, their magical story, if you will. In a nutshell, the extra factor was the plants themselves. The plants were collaborating with them. The plants grew to unbelievable proportions in poor soil to showcase the potential of humans forming cooperative relationships with nature. Dorothy experienced a type of plant being called a deva, a Sanskrit word similar to the word angel. Her first communication was with the deva of one of her favorite plants, the garden pea. It happened while she was in deep meditative state, focusing on her love for the pea. The devas and nature spirits in their communication with Dorothy told her that they are not happy with how humans dominate and control nature, and they view humans as acting as some sort of parasites, independent of the work with them. I don't think for us there's any surprises in this message. Now close your eyes for a second, take a deep breath, and let us pray. O beloved Mother Virgo and Pelora, I call for you for the thinning of the veil betwixt elemental life and the sons and daughters of God, that we have a greater sensitivity to the elementals that we have always desired. Instantly become aware of the unseen world of nature spirits, a kingdom teeming with elemental life. You hear with your inner ear the happy chatter of elves and fairies, the whistling of gnomes at work. You're amazed as a whole new world of magic opens before you, and that the life of God is present in the mineral, vegetable, and animal kingdoms, and throughout the unseen world of nature spirits, a kingdom teeming with elemental life. And as your inner sight comes online, your troop of 12 elementals assigned to you by Princess Diana starts to come into view. As they recognize your level of awareness to nature spirits, these elementals bow to the light within you. Your gnomes are the most tangible and the first elementals you connect with. They warm your heart, these precious gnomes. One is an adorable doll-like female elf 3 inches high who loves to play in the grasses. Another is a 3-foot dwarf, and one is so over the top you can't believe he even exists. He is a giant gnome, part of the mighty gnomes who are God-free, who come from the halls of the Mountain King. We just heard in this piece of meditation before us. Staunch they are, these mighty giant gnomes. Foot soldiers they are. They march across the face of the earth. They come to render service. These are those with great attainment who have sustained themselves for thousands of years, whereas the ordinary elementals' lifespans are no greater than the human lifespans. In a dictation from the directors of the gnomes, Virgo and Pelor, delivered by the messenger of the Great White Brotherhood, Elizabeth Clare Prophet, on October 9, 1993, the title of this dictation says it all: Violet Flame Can Stop Earth Changes. Beloved Pelor addressed us from their command center in the very heart of the sun of even pressure in the center of the earth, saying, "You have heard the sound of gnomes." He is referring to the music we just heard in the Hall of the Mountain King in our meditation. "You have heard the sound of gnomes. You have heard the sound of their marching. You have heard the sound of intensification, for this is their form of transmutation, of throwing off burden of humankind's negative karma. This is the frenzied pitch that is reached when they must transmute the burdens of humanity without the violet flame. This intensity is what produces volcanic eruption, earthquake, hurricane, tidal wave, flood, and storm. Thus, from the depths of the earth, from the surface to the very center, to the very part that is the violet flame seed, placed in the center of the earth by Omritas, gnomes and elemental beings of earth, under the guidance of myself and beloved Virgo, do perform the tasks necessary and fundamental to the holding of the balance in the earth element. Of all the elementals, these gnomes carry the greater weight of density, physical density, of mankind's karma. Therefore, the alchemy of their transmutation without your insertion of violet flame, an accelerated violet flame, does require them to practice the science of alchemy in order to hold the balance. But when the ingredient of violet flame is added, then you will see what is the meaning of the term world transmutation. Beloved ones of the light, therefore the blessed gnomes come this day with a plea unto the chelas of the sacred fire for greater and greater invocation to the violet flame. End of Pelor's quote. Earth could be very different if the elementals were not bowed down with pollution and the weight of mankind's karma. In Genesis, God tells Adam, "Cursed is the ground for thy sake. In sorrow shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life." The ground is symbolic of elemental life. In other words, because of mankind's fall from grace, represented in the figures of Adam and Eve, the elementals were cursed. That is, mankind's negative karma was introduced into their world, and the elementals were assigned the task of maintaining balance where karmic imbalance now appeared. The weight of karma has been building over the centuries and millennia. And under the weight of this karmic burden, the elementals become listless. They become tired. They become burdened. They become overworked. And they carry a great weight of oppression, and like humans, become full of depression, despair, and discouragement. Yet, the elementals keep on working heroically to clean up the earth, the air, and the water of our planet. They know that 5.5 billion souls wearing 4 lower bodies depend upon them. So day by day, they work to keep the earth on an even keel. Always remember, without the unflagging work of the elementals, our souls would not have a platform on which to live. We would not have a place to work out our karma or grow spiritually. Now close your eyes again briefly and return to that space in your heart where there is that bridge to greater sensitivity to elemental life. You feel that space? Do you see your elementals? As the magical door opens to the nature spirits, you now see brilliant fire burning all around you. You can now see those fiery salamanders assigned to you as they parrot you with the hoary wisdom of the ages. They carry rods of white lightning as scepters of authority to hold the balance of the fire element. You are amused with their countenance. They radiate with the joy of little children. Your troop of fiery salamanders are various heights, 1 9, 1 15, another 25 feet high. Even one stands as tall as 50 feet. Although you see some of them reduce their size with the flicker of a flame to an inch in height. So they can be 1 inch or smaller. They can expand to great heights. These fiery beings are blazing a beauteous riot of color as this fiery element of life blazes through them in a swirling, winding, billowing action, the full-orbed splendor of the rainbow rays of God, in colors you have never seen before. Their appearance is constantly changing like liquid fire. Their chameleon-like natures instantly reflect the prism of the Christ consciousness that plays upon their forms. Always remember, they are beings of tremendous power, for they hold the secrets of the fire element. Think of them as the shock troops, like the Marines. They are the top flight ones. Give them now their assignments. These can be any constructive endeavor that will help, not just 1 or 2 or 10 people, but for tens of thousands and millions of people. Ask them to take care of practical matters, including the healing of yourself and others. All elemental life knows how to heal. Be sure your requests are keeping with the will of God. In 1993, the directors of the fiery elements, Prince Aramesis and Diana, told us the reason other planets are barren today is because the elementals on those planets had no sponsorship, no sons and daughters of God who would keep the flame for them. And where you see barren planets, where you see there is nothing there in the physical octave, as science reports it, beloved ones, the elementals simply could not survive because they had no sponsorship. Not one single solitary son or daughter of God who remained on those planets. This is the cause, beloved. And when you look at the blessedness and the beauty of planet Earth and the violations of planet Earth, you realize, certainly with your eyes wide open, what precisely does hang in the balance. So, beloved ones, I cannot even tell you what good karma shall come to you for caring for elemental life, nor can I even begin to express the gratitude of elementals if you should give the mantra, Decree 707B, in the name of my mighty I Am Presence, I go forth to heal millions of elementals, as we did in the ritual, regularly in their behalf. For they will come, and they will serve you and minister unto you. And as they do this, you shall come into their auras, and you shall bring them into your auras, and you shall teach them the violet flame. You shall show them the way of giving the violet flame decrees, until by those very decrees they will become a part of a universal alchemy, whereby the sons of God shall determine, as we all pray, that these elementals shall receive the gift of the threefold flame. For elementals know they do not have eternal life. They do not have the triune spark of life, the threefold flame, and when they pass away, it is permanent. Yet their service to you means more to them than life, and until they earn that threefold flame, they must rely on your heart flame. Yes, they decree with you, but they must have you to decree with, for they depend upon the altar of your heart, as you depend on the altar of God's heart and upon the unfed flame. It is not just your family and your children who depend upon you, but each and every one of you has potentially millions of elementals who depend on your heart flame. So, beloved ones, as Arcturus and Victoria have spoken, and all masters of the violet flame in the seventh ray since the beginning of the original dispensation of Saint Germain's releasing that flame in this century, that the violet flame is the key to restoration of this planet, to the healing of all of your ailments, to your supply and the multiplication thereof. There is no one on earth, no matter what classification, no matter what crimes they have committed, no matter what they have sinned against God or elemental life or the animal kingdom. There is no one who cannot come into his own God realization by the persistent use of the violet flame. And I tell you, when you invoke the elementals to join with the seventh ray beings and all rays, for there is no one in heaven that does not use the violet flame, you will see the purification once again of the atmosphere of earth. You will see the sealing once again of the astral plane that may no longer erupt into the physical. Blessed ones, you have not heard one single solution from scientists, environmentalists, governmental officials, name whatever category of person you would name, not a single solitary solution that will meet in time the crisis that we find in planet Earth today. The only solution is the God solution of the seventh ray of Aquarius, the seventh ray of the seventh age of Saint Germain and Portia. I, Aramis, say to you, call to me frequently, for remember, I am not just an elemental, I am an ascended master. My consort Diana is an ascended master. We then together may be called upon, just as you call to any other ascended master, and we have the combined momentum of having been inspired by Elohim with the responsibility of all fiery salamanders upon this planet. End of quote. Rays of twinkling light in the air all around you now catch your attention. And as their form becomes more defined, you see your air elementals known as sylphs appearing in fairy-like forms with thin, wispy bodies that can change gracefully to numerous shapes as they soar through the air. You are in awe of their beauty. Their faces are like the most beautiful women or the most handsome men you can imagine, except they are faces of purity. They are continually changing size and shape as they are able to expand or contract their substance on a dime. So one moment they are no bigger than your thumb, and the next moment they are expanding their beautiful figure to fill a large portion of the sky. These elementals are masterful creatures who expand and contract their airy bodies from microcosmic to macrocosmic levels. They move like streaks of lightning, traveling great distances very quickly with a power of penetrability, being able to penetrate through substance itself. They control the four winds. The atmosphere and the clouds. They conduct the currents of the mind of God into the mind of man. They respond to the command of their hierarchs, Aries and Thor. In a dictation given in 1993 by Aries and Thor, they addressed us as well, saying, "And as you speak to those elementals and calm their fears and teach them how to heal the body, you shall know a victory. You shall know a balancing of karma. You shall know a brightness that shall descend upon you. And the rainbow rays of God you shall see, and they shall be your own causal body of light that you are able to first sense and know and then dimly see, and then ultimately to meet the presence of God face to face as Moses did. Therefore recognize that there is indeed an overlay of mankind's consciousness upon elementals, and because that is there, they are bowed down, and therefore they are not necessarily always in the best of spirits. But they are not cross-eyed and pigeon-toed, and always fat and having some sort of heaviness about them. You must realize the work that is accomplished by elementals is accomplished by experts. Simply look around you at all of life and the absolute magnificence of this planetary body and ask yourself whether demented and lazy gnomes could have accomplished such a task. I say nay. Therefore, root for the elementals, pour violet flame upon them, and bring them daily to new levels of consciousness, whereby even the greater glory of God might appear and they might accomplish that which seems impossible. But they shall accomplish it by the power of Elohim reinforcing them. And that task, beloved, is the purification of the planetary body. Thus, I speak to you and I seal this message with all the love of billions upon billions of elementals, for they know every son and daughter of God throughout the planetary spheres, and in you they place their trust, their hope, their faith. Your recognition of the reality of elementals and their tasks, your recognition of their burdens, your recognition of them as being great scientists with minds vast, controlling all forces of nature, your recognition of this and the part that you can play can make all the difference. So thus, as Ares and Thor just said, you can make all the difference. I challenge you to make that difference, to make the difference with regular use of the violet flame. Remember to douse the elementals, to make the difference by calling forth ruby fire to purge the earth, to make the difference by becoming the alchemist and learning of the great key of Neptune, as he will talk about today, the great key to unlock your own prison cell of the mind and of the heart and of the solar plexus, the prison cell of many levels of being, the great key that unlocks the doors of those who are imprisoned by fallen angels, the great key that unlocks the door where elementals suffer, cannot do their work, for they are imprisoned in the curses of the fallen ones. Do you understand, my brothers and sisters of the sun, that you can change the earth by the power of God that is in you? You can do this. It is time that you took many sleeps in consciousness. It is time that you took the key of Neptune, that you open the prison door and exit the very prison of your own mind. For when you have the key and you use the key of Neptune, beloved, you have the key of alchemy. You have the key whereby you can also begin to understand your role as a son or daughter of God, as a ruler in the earth, as a ruler and defender of elementals. Those who rule are those who serve to set life free. The whole message of this sermon is, simply said, we can help the elementals. We can help the elementals, and we need to continuously remember that it is a team effort of sons and daughters of God, angels above and elementals all around, truly the Trinity of life. And the power of that Trinity is the power to bring Earth into a golden age.